Hey, everybody, and welcome to the second session of the second day. And it's about to get really fun because we have Justin Rowe from Impactable. I think if you haven't been following Justin on LinkedIn, do yourself a favor. Definitely do a follow because I think there is so much talk about demand gen and using paid, etc. But I don't know many people sharing so much actionable insights. And again, do yourself a favor, go check him out on LinkedIn. We'll drop his LinkedIn profile in the chat. But having said that, Justin, take it away. Really looking forward to your presentation.
Hey, yeah, my name is Justin Rowe. I am the founder and CMO of Impactable. We are a LinkedIn ads agency, and we actually got our start in 2019. We started as a lead generation agency of all things, doing LinkedIn outbound, and then I think we served 1,000+ clients, and then we went through an acquisition, kind of pivoted into a LinkedIn ads agency. And my love of marketing kind of unfolded through all this. A lot of it, I just taught myself marketing out of necessity. As a scrappy startup, I didn't have a ton of budget to have all these channels managed, and I enjoyed learning it myself. And then we kind of, so I was kind of in the trenches and piloting this myself and formulating kind of from scratch these opinions. I started with a lead gen heavy approach because that's what everyone else was doing, and that's what the books I read and the webinars that I went to, like that's what everyone was doing. It didn't work for me. I hated chasing down leads endlessly, so I started breaking it down from scratch and how do I like to buy. And so I kind of, my approach to marketing from people that I actually enjoy learning from, that made sense to me, and then also from my experience. So in this little LinkedIn ads section, the three main things I want to focus on is I want to give really practical advice if you're either running LinkedIn ads already, or if you're thinking about running LinkedIn ads, some foundational kind of checklist stuff, things that you should at least have in place to make sure you get the most out of it. I do want to share my 6-month retargeting framework. I think those are one of the things that we're kind of infamous for, is that previously I think a lot of LinkedIn ads out there was kind of two-dimensional, and we really pushed the limits on what you could do with kind of a framework and these buckets and kind of a smarter flow. So I do want to share that. And then I just want to bring it all back and kind of preface all this with that LinkedIn is one piece of the puzzle in a marketing ecosystem. Our results with LinkedIn ads for ourselves and our clients wouldn't be as possible if they didn't have a lot of other things in place. So I kind of want to also temper the expectations and kind of alignment of how this all works in an ecosystem together. And the first thing, so I was going to screen share, but so it says stop sharing, but that would be stop sharing what? My media or my... Oh, that's the media.
Correct. And then you need to click on share screen.
Okay. Well, I wasn't entirely sure I wanted to do that right now, but now I feel like we're in it. Okay.
You're committed.
So we're committed. So the first thing I wanted to do is, is go through kind of a checklist. Okay. So you can see my LinkedIn ads campaign here. Okay. So the first thing I want to do is kind of go through a checklist, and then we'll come back and make sure I hit everything I wanted to. But this is, let me break this out then so I can still see all you guys. All right. So the very first thing that honestly everyone should do is get the LinkedIn Insights tag installed on their website. The LinkedIn Insights tag is so powerful, and all you do is you come to Analyze, hit Insights tag, install it yourself, and you can drop it in the global header or footer. Usually I've been putting this in the footer. Facebook and other pixels usually really need to be in the header, but LinkedIn, I can get away with putting it in the footer, I think. And you could also do Google Tag Manager, but this is so powerful because LinkedIn their Insights tag doesn't just pick up on your traffic that is sending to your website. It picks up on all the traffic that you're sending to the website from other sources. So Google ads, Facebook ads, all your organic efforts are all going to your website, and then LinkedIn can pick up on that. But LinkedIn can then also qualify that traffic. So what I mean by that is, one of my biggest gripes with like Facebook retargeting and some of these others is that your 90-day website traffic is a hodgepodge. Like, you have blog traffic, just college kids checking it out. You have just an abundance of traffic that you wouldn't necessarily want to just spend a ton of money staying in front of. But with LinkedIn, you can say, hey, 90-day website visitors or 90-day company page visitors or people that have clicked and interacted with my ads, plus they need to be from companies of this size, from these geographic regions. They need to have seniority level of director and above, and they need to have these job functions, and they need to be from these industries that we serve best. So you can actually qualify your website traffic and then just retarget those best fit. So I think that is massive about LinkedIn and why the insights tag is absolutely so important, not just to make LinkedIn as a standalone possible, but to enhance the ROI of all of the other channels. So the insights tag, and then as soon as you throw that insights tag on, set up your retargeting audiences. And the easiest ones to set up, and these are all the different buckets you have. You have website visits, and I would set up 30-day, 90-day, 180-day website visits. You can even set up visits of specific pages. So you could say if they visited my pricing page, segment that out because maybe that's a higher intent group and I can use that as a targeting. If they watched X amount percentage of a video from your video campaign, if they interact with your single ads, if they open or submit a lead gen form, if they visit your company page, if they visit your company page and actually click on the call to action is two separate things that you could segment these out. So one of the superpowers, the second superpower, other than qualifying your website traffic of LinkedIn, is these retargeting audiences that you can kind of collect and bucket. And even in a cookieless world, LinkedIn is able to pick up on people that opened a lead gen form, interacted with an ad, visited your company page, all of these things that don't involve them hitting your website and getting the cookie experience. You're still able to create these buckets and kind of retarget them. So I would take full advantage of the audiences. The next thing for me is conversion tracking. So I try to go down as deep down the funnel as possible. And this is the whole kind of, to me, it goes back to like the lead gen versus demand gen approach. Like the terrible thing about lead gen is that it's low quality leads that usually don't close and waste everyone's time. And it's the same with conversion tracking in these ad channels. If what you're tracking is just a form submission on your website, unless you go further down to know, okay, well, which ones of those are actually booking calls and which one of those booked calls is actually purchasing, the further down the funnel you can actually set up conversions, the better, because otherwise you might just be chasing the lowest common denominator. You might be chasing, if all your tracking is form submissions, then all you can optimize your campaigns for is how you can get the most form submissions for the least amount of money. And inevitably that's going to lead to the lowest quality form submissions. So what you want to do is move the needle and say, let's track call bookings. And it's as easy as setting up a URL redirect. So if you have a call booking through HubSpot or through Calendly or almost any modern kind of call booking, you can set up a URL redirect where it sends, upon call booking confirmation, it sends them to a URL back on your website, like a thank you page that you can then track as a conversion in all of your ad channels. We've taken that to the next level and even put purchases. And so I know, like, we're a B2B service provider, and yet we can still track purchases as conversions in all of our ad channels. The way we do that is the same way. If someone purchases from us, they hit a URL redirect and it goes to a purchase confirmation page on our website. But even if you're an enterprise software, you could still do that. In the onboarding process, I'm sure there's an intake form, some kind of questionnaire they fill out. The submission of that, which only paying clients would see, can kick them to a welcome page on your website that only paying clients would ever hit. And that could be your purchase confirmation conversion for all your ad channels. And think how much better quality data your ad platform would get from there. And most of the time people are like, okay, well, we can see it in HubSpot, but we can't see it in the ad channel. Well, whoever's running your ad campaigns and the ad channels itself, like, can use that information to better, your return. So I would fight for conversion tracking as deep down the funnel. And on top of that, I would add values. So I have, one of my hacks is that I use each and last for everything in LinkedIn. And that's kind of an attribution touch. So there was a big debate, amongst people, do we use each, do we use last? And I think this is a really practical step. Each means if there's 4 ads that someone interacts with before finally converting, each would give credit to each one of those. Now, most agencies that I've worked with or seen, they have each set up. I think they selfishly set it up so that it over reports conversions and makes them look better. So the con with each is that it over reports. But I do think it's important to know the different ads that they touched. Last would only give credit to the last ad that they touched before converting. So that would give you a true number of conversions, but it would cut out the story of which ads played a role in the journey. So my solution is to use both, set up a call booking each and a call booking last, and then assign different values. That way you can see the last touch and assign a bigger value to it. But then you can also see the 3 or 4 ads that led to that conversion. So you don't risk cutting those out in order, because otherwise, if you only have last, a big thing that happens is they're like, oh, all my conversions are coming from this ad. Let me cut out everything else. But then you're cutting out the things that actually helped lead to that main conversion. So the audiences, the insight tag, the conversion tracking, let me probably stop sharing that and get back to media. So I think those are some of the main ones. Insight tag, conversion tracking in place, retargeting audience, conversion values, use of last and each. Okay, good. So without even looking, I hit on those main ones. Perfect. The next ones, I don't necessarily need to show as much. LinkedIn Audience Network. I think if you've run LinkedIn ads, you've probably heard of that. I usually switch that off. Or one really cool hack that I've kind of developed is I'll duplicate the campaign, and then I'll have one that's allowed to use the audience network and one that's not allowed to use the audience network. And the one that's allowed to use the audience network, I give it a very small budget. So if I'm spending $100 a day, the audience network one might get $10 a day budget, and the other one might get $90 a day, so that I can still leverage it, but I can control how much budget spent. Otherwise, if you go and look, you can toggle and see how much of your budget is going to audience network and how much is on LinkedIn. You'll be shocked at how much budget LinkedIn takes off of the platform. Targeting, I kind of covered it for the retargeting, but it's exactly the same. Part of what you don't want to do is you don't want to do audience expansion. And what I've kind of found is that seniority and job functions are a really nice hack, because job position titles are a free-form field on LinkedIn. So you might be trying to target marketing leaders in companies, in funded startups, but a lot of marketing leaders today have like weird titles on LinkedIn. They might be the magician of marketing or the Houdini of leads or something, but really they're the VP of marketing or the director of marketing. So you might be better suited to actually say seniority level, director and above, marketing job function in these company sizes, in these industries. I think other industries are maybe less creative with their titles, so you might be able to get away with it. But I know for us, I like to target marketing, and I feel like there's such an array of position titles. So I get myself in trouble if I use just that. The next 3 kind of all go hand in hand with this next one. And it kind of ties into the second half of, those are the foundations for the checklist. But part of that is moving into kind of this framework and what you're putting in this framework. So this is my 6-month LinkedIn ads framework. And I just said 6 months because, as an agency, we also want to kind of pace expectations and pace the building. Plus, each of these usually needs like data coming in. But this was kind of, I would say, semi-revolutionary when we started pushing kind of this framework of what you could do on LinkedIn, and it kind of opened a lot of eyes. So let me explain a little bit. Most people, we've audited accounts that are spending $500,000 a month on LinkedIn, and the structure in the accounts can be very immature. A lot of these bigger companies, they have budget. And I think what happens is these full service marketing agencies, they add LinkedIn on as just another channel for distribution, but they haven't given it any like specialty or dove into everything that channel can do. So they're essentially just taking their same kind of assets that they want to distribute. They're looking at LinkedIn as another place to distribute. They like the targeting, and then they just $500,000 or whatever a month, they're putting their stuff out. It's lead gen focus, and it's heavily on the cold without much thought of qualifying and retargeting and a strategy behind it. So part of this is not just a structure, but part of it is a thought process. So when I run my initial cold campaign and that initial layer, my thought process, and I guess I should preface this too. So since I'm with the ABM masters here, if this structure works best with a larger total addressable market. if I was dialing in on a handful of accounts, if my target market or audience was maybe less than 30,000, I would pull a lot of these elements that I currently have in retargeting. I'd pull them into the cold layer, and I would just saturate that audience with a lot of these different layers up front versus waiting for them to take some action before I pull them into retargeting. But if you have a healthy total addressable market and you can pull this structure out, it works better for that. So initially when I run cold ads on LinkedIn, it's very specific, targeted, and I'm not getting cute or doing a whole lot of fancy stuff. My cold ads are very, I would say, bland, straightforward, to the point. This is who we are, this is what we do, this is the main pain point we solve, this is the main result, kind of before and after of people that are working with us, or why people work with us. The reason being, I want those clicks and that traffic to mean something. So if I put funny, engaging, or just basic top of funnel educational content, it would be the same as getting blog traffic to your website that dilutes your retargeting. Like, it doesn't show any true intention. So I actually want my cold ads to be a little more dry, because I want that to kind of mean something. If they're engaging with that, visiting the website from that, or watching 75% of one of those videos, it's because they're intrigued by what we do or might have a need. So my cold layer is usually a little bland, but once they engage and they click on the website, visit the company page, engage with the ad, then there's usually two main objections that I'm seeking to overcome. The first is timing. And I think for most marketing agencies and advertisers, it seems like that's the one they focus on, and they don't get moved past that. To me, that is a real concern, because maybe they're not currently in market, and I do need to stay in front of them 90 days, 180 days. Some of these sales cycles are really long, so I do want to stay in front of them. But to me, almost any ad I put in front of them is going to overcome that objection. So I wouldn't necessarily spend all of my time and focus just worrying about that. So the second objection is they don't know me, they don't trust me yet. So to me, that's the biggest one to overcome, especially in B2B. They're not visiting. So many people run the cold ads, they get the website traffic, and then they wonder why that traffic isn't converting at a high rate. But to me, like, when I take a step back, this isn't e-com, this isn't B2C, this isn't, a $20 product. If you're selling something that's $1,000, $15,000, they're not going to impulse buy on their first visit to your website. They're evaluating other options. They're taking it very seriously. There's other people involved. So it's not that first click that really is your biggest concern. It's what happens after that. They've shown interest now. They know who you are. Now, what are you going to do about it? You need to build trust and credibility and show them that you are the experts in your space. So my whole retargeting framework kind of is that premise. So initially, when we build in month 2, when we build the next stage, it's what can we do? What assets do we have that paint us in a good light, trust and credibility? I like to run case studies, testimonials, press releases, expert advice, interviews. So for example, if I had, a clip of this FullFunnel keynote, or if I had an interview with someone else who was respected in my space, third-party validation is huge. So I can tell you through ads, hey, we're the #1 agency. Hey, we can save our clients. But if there's another respected person in the B2B community who's acknowledging us as experts in our space, that's really powerful. And I can use that as an ad, distribute it to someone who showed some kind of intent to help, paint that picture or tell the narrative that can help move the needle. So, and that's kind of back to the previous one of demand gen principles. So to me, number 9, demand gen principles. So to me, what that means is I'm not just running ads that look like ads. I'm not just staying in front of them to stay, top of mind. Anything I run is going to stay top of mind. So I'm really focused on all of my assets and the retargeting, trying to build trust, trying to paint us as the experts in our area. So I think if someone leaves my website and they're a good fit, what are 10 or 12 or 10 or 15 assets that I wish they could see, that I wish I could get in their hands, I could guarantee they see, that I know would give them the right opinion of us? And that I take those and I turn those into ads and I put them in my retargeting layer. And I make sure that anyone who leaves my website or engages with me who is a good fit sees, these 10 to 15 assets that I think could move the needle, and if and when they have a need, would make us their number one option. And for me, it's a handful of webinars, interviews, press releases, case studies, and testimonials that I think are other people kind of identifying us as experts and painting us in a good light. And then it's also some of our frameworks, some of my organic posts. So I'm trying to not just create demand for LinkedIn and LinkedIn ads, but I'm also creating demand for our brand, our style of LinkedIn ads. So even if someone has, is running LinkedIn ads already, I want to create this demand for Impactable and the way that Impactable thinks about an ads that kind of shifts them, that they become unsatisfied with the status quo of what they're at. So some of the other ones, these other two layers, and I kind of pace it in a way that's like easier to lift for whoever's building it out. So in month 2, that first campaign, whether it's single image or video, is focused on building trust. And then I roll out text ads. Text ads are super easy. They show up to the right of the feed on desktop. As retargeting, they're super inexpensive. You can get like 20,000 impressions for like less than $20 sometimes in a month. And it's just constant. That's the top of mind. And you get a lot of different variations. But that's an easy add-on to that first one. And then in month 3, usually I will introduce some kind of lead gen, but it's not in the traditional, like, I'm not looking to push for the book demo. I'm looking to give them some kind of asset that they otherwise might be willing to pay for in exchange for, the email. But honestly, most of the time, I'm still not queuing that into like some endless drip. Like it might be like 2 or 3 emails where it's like, here's the asset you wanted, and then here's a couple of other things that, might interest you. But really, it's just another gateway for me to try to get valuable pieces of assets in their hand, not to sell them or pressure them into a call. But I know if I can get the right assets that they will find value in, they'll also think, differently of us. I also use the newsletter or the lead gen form as a funnel to my newsletter. So I retarget my website visitors. Yes, there's a newsletter sign up option on our website, but I retarget website visitors with a lead gen form that tries to funnel them into my newsletter as well. I guess that's another point too. So, and it kind of goes into the third one too of the ecosystem. So I use my retargeting ads as a way to cross-pollinate all my other channels. So I think of, let's see, let me skip over here. So I think of marketing as an ecosystem, and I don't just use, I think this is a huge one because LinkedIn by itself in a silo can be expensive. But LinkedIn, like I said, their insights tag picks up on your other traffic. So if you have organic, you have YouTube, you have SEO, you have some paid listing sites and Google, you have all this other traffic into your website. LinkedIn ads is one of those channels sending traffic to your website. And in the retargeting phase, one of my goals is for each of my channels to try to kind of flow into other ones. So when they visit my website, they might get retargeted with Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube ads, but then each of those channels also tries to push them into the others. So on my LinkedIn ads, I'm actually running retargeting ads that promote my personal organic page. I'll actually take screenshots of my organic posts, and clicking into those actually sends them to my organic post. It doesn't like trick them into going somewhere else. I'll actually also have retargeting LinkedIn ads that send them to my YouTube page to subscribe. And then I'll have newsletter signups. And then I'll have, whatever else I'm running organically. I use my paid ad channels to help distribute that content. And I do the same on YouTube. If they visit the YouTube, I'm sending them links back to organic LinkedIn posts or sign up for the newsletter or back to the website. And on the website, I have all these assets in various places. So they're helping each other. Because one of my theories too is if I can get them into one of my organic communities, then I can nurture them more efficiently and longer and without ad spend way after. If it's a long sales cycle or the time isn't right, eventually they're going to age out of my paid ads. And if I can funnel them into one of my organic communities, then even after my ad spend stops, they stop seeing my ads, we can still be a part of their journey and stay top of mind organically. So I use paid ads to help influence that. I guess the last thing to point out from this framework then is what happens. So they interact with a cold ad, or they're interacting with your website, company page, something else from other efforts you're doing. They get pulled into this 90-day retargeting. This is where I pretty much hit them with everything I've got. There's multiple layers. There's usually a couple of single image ad campaigns, a text campaign, a spotlight campaign, usually a follower campaign, and maybe a lead gen. I'm hitting them with like a lot of different layers. We use our own ad scheduling tool to kind of rotate these in and out. So they're not just all on all day, every day, because that would be a lot. I think I have 12 plus retargeting campaigns, but they're on schedules and they rotate in and out. If they make it through that 90 days without interacting with any of our ads, then they go into this 90 to 180 day nurture. Most of my in-feed expensive ads, the videos, the single image, most of that actually stops after 90 days if there's no further engagement. If they didn't click on another ad, if they didn't revisit my website, if they didn't come back to the company page, most of that drops, and I stay in front of them with text ads, spotlight ads, and follower ads. It's a super light, inexpensive nurture way to stay in front of them for another 3 months without spending a ton of money. But that bottom layer, that 30-day high intent retargeting, if they do engage with my 90-day retargeting layer, so if they do see those ads and they do engage with that, or they do make it back to the website with a retargeting UTM in there, then I have a separate campaign where I really push strongly for that booked call or that next step. And that one will lead directly to my calendar link. It's not like even it'll either be a lead gen that says, leave your information, we'll reach out, or it'll send them straight to my call booking link. And basically, yeah, we're just retargeting those who have engaged with our retargeting audience. Because if they've interacted with us, they've gotten retargeting ads, and then they've interacted with those ads, that's a really strong group. And then I don't mess around with the language. It's, hey, what are you waiting for? Maybe we should talk. Is this something that you want to talk about now? And I give them that little loving nudge that I think they need. I think this kind of goes along with what I was talking about, the different kinds of ads that I think fit into there. And communities to me is a big one. And even these events like this, I think, are huge for brands. So, I mean, if you're a guest on a podcast or a webinar or an event, and then you can, invite your community into there, get that third-party validation exposure, also just grow your community. It's not, I mean, you should do it with the right intentions. It's not just these are tactics to manipulate your audience into like tricking them into trusting you. Like, if I do it with good intentions of, I've really found that if I just pour out into the community, I help people that even aren't good fits for us. I give them advice. I give out free audits. I give out as much value as I can. That does also have benefits of positioning us as experts in our space, and it makes for great marketing. And it so a lot of these are different types of ads that you could make into ads that probably aren't in the traditional sense, maybe ads. So I would say that's most of my practical advice for LinkedIn ads. I do think I have available the little checklist. There's a 10-point LinkedIn ads checklist. And then I also have like the playbook and the 6-month roadmap. But I think that 6-month roadmap is probably the thing that most people are interested in. I even have like a step-by-step of like how you would implement that and the stages for that. So
okay.
That's mine.
I think, I mean, usually we will ask for feedback, but we've been getting so much feedback while you were talking. I think it's safe to say that people absolutely love your session. And you can also see it on the amount of questions. I can already say that we won't be able to get through all the questions. So I would suggest 2 things. So please join us at our trenches.community, and you can ask any question there. You follow Justin on LinkedIn, and I'm sure that if you reach out to him, he will be happy to help you out. But having said that, head to the Q&A section, vote up the questions that you like the best, and we'll start sharing them and answering them as much as we can. But I think we do have half hour, so maybe we get through the most of them.
Yeah, but generally speaking, it was like workshop, not a keynote, but it was a practical workshop. So thanks a lot for this, Justin.